Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle-Born Injury Lawyers.
Henderson-based social media app Parler was blocked from Apple, Google, and Amazon. In fact, Parler has now filed a lawsuit against Amazon as Congress is grappling with laws protecting these platforms. Here to talk about the legal issues, attorney Matt Hoffman with Battle-Born Injury Lawyers. Matt, let's start here with Parler because it is based in Nevada.
And in a nutshell, what happened was after the January 6th Capitol riots, Amazon, through their web servicing department, so they have a huge web hosting division of their company, and they host Parler, and they looked at what happened, and they elected to kick Parler off of their web services. And then Parler, that did happen. So what Parler did is they filed a lawsuit in federal court in Seattle, where Amazon's headquarters are, and they allege you breached your contract and that you're engaged in antitrust violations. And what they're alleging is that, look, per our contract, we have a term, we're paying our bill, you got to keep hosting us. And as to the antitrust, they're saying what you're doing is you kicked us off to benefit Twitter. And then Amazon comes back and says, well, you violated the contract. You violated the terms of the contract because you allowed hate speech to go on. And as to the antitrust, I don't really know how much there is to that. But so what's happened is that Amazon comes in and says, look, we're hosting you, but per the terms, you can't allow hate speech to occur. And because you did, and it came out that a lot of these people at the Capitol riots were communicating via Parler. And they're saying, if you allowed it to happen, we don't want to be part of that. It violates our terms of service, so you're gone.
So, there's a bit of a gray area, though, here, because fundamentally, you're looking at people's right to free speech, but also at the same time, if we're talking about dangerous type of speech, it's interesting to see what is protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah, and the First Amendment is often misunderstood by many people. So, yes, the First Amendment guarantees the right to free speech and freedom of expression. It's true, but it provides that right from government interference. The government can't restrict the speech outside of, inciting violence and things like that. Mm-hmm. It says nothing about private industry. So you can go to Washington, D.C. or any protest, and you can have an Antifa flag, a Confederate flag, whatever you want. And the government can't do anything to stop you as long as you're not inciting violence. But the minute you could go step into a restaurant and they could absolutely refuse to serve you, or you could post something political, which is your right, on Facebook or social media, and you could absolutely lose your job for it. We see athletes lose sponsorships because of things they've said. Justin Thomas just lost a sponsorship with Ralph Lauren a week ago for saying something offensive. So that's not protected by the First Amendment. And so what we're going to see with Amazon and Parler is, I think Parler is going to say, look, you host other apps that have, offensive content. It's just not right-wing offensive content. So are you really, did we really violate this, or are you just picking on us because of our political, leanings? And I think that's what's going to be the argument.
So essentially, any social media app or platform is a private business, so they can say, just like businesses here, no shoes, no shirt, no service kind of thing. But what you're saying is they're going to have to prove that they apply these rules to everyone and every entity on not just conservative or not just liberal.
Right, exactly. It's just like the laws in our country. The laws apply equally no matter what your political ideology, whether you're protesting in the Capitol and damaging federal property, or tearing down a statue this summer and tearing down federal property. It's destruction of federal property. You don't get lenient or harsher treatment depending on who you support. Mm-hmm. And that's what gets to the Twitter and Facebook things on banning President Trump, which is their right. They can absolutely do that. However, the Section 230 protection, they get that. They can't be sued for defamation, for false light, things like that, because theoretically they're not pushing or publishing the content. They're not editorializing. But when you go in and kick off certain platforms saying it violates our terms of service because it's hate speech, but then on the other side of the political spectrum, the hashtag assassinate Trump, kill Trump is allowed to just go on, well, then that seems like you're doing some political editorializing. And if you have that level of control, then you shouldn't be protected by Section 230.
Okay.
And that's what you're going to see going forward.
Yeah, this is certainly just the very beginning of what we could see, especially as Congress grapples with this. There, Matt Hoffman, as always, we appreciate your time diving into this and breaking down the law. Thank you.
All right, thanks.